Wouldn't want you to record.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate that. So I appreciate you allowing me to interview you today, and I understand how frustrating it can be when technology does not cooperate, but I'm very glad that you're here. If it's okay with you, I'll just go ahead and get started. Well, actually, I guess in case anyone is watching this video, I'll just let them know that you are Judge Theresa Doss, and you were our president in 1973 and 74, and that you are also the inaugural recipient of the Geraldine Bledsoe Ford Award. So congratulations about that.
Thank you.
And I guess I'll get started now with our first question. So the first question is, how did you get involved with WLAM initially?
Judge, well, at that time she wasn't judge, Gladys Barsamian, who became a judge of the Wayne County Probate Court for years and years. And I would see her over at the City County building from time to time, and she invited me to come to a meeting.
Oh,
and that's
great.
how I got involved.
Okay. And when you were president of our organization, what challenges did you face during your term?
Well, you know what I did? I went and got a report that I made at the end of my term.
Oh,
I didn't know I had so much stuff.
wow.
And I found a newsletter, January 1974, and I found a newsletter that we had in February 1974. And so if it's all right, I thought maybe I would let me call myself trying to get organized. And when I went out of office, I had down the President Annual Report, 1973, 1974, and it's dated October the 21st, 1974. And so we were challenged on every direction, every place, because we were concerned about getting women as mediators. We were concerned about getting women as judges. We were concerned about getting women teaching, everything. We were trying to impact everything and every, because at that time, women were we were active and we were around, but we weren't. We hadn't impacted. Well, we'll say that we hadn't hit the ceiling. We were headed for the sky and doing all kinds of things. And I had people surrounding me they were just on the ball. All the women who were officers at the time, everybody was on the ball. And just give you some examples of.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let me see. I had. Let me see. We had set up committees, and hold on just for a second. I call myself going to be organized for you.
No, it's okay. I know it's tough. We're asking about things that happened like 40 years ago, or more than 40.
Not 40, almost 50 years ago. 50 years ago, and at this point, hold on for a second. I'm sitting this down. I'm off the camera. Okay.
Oh, that's quite all right.
Okay. I really should go on my computer, and but I don't have a camera on my computer. So okay. So we had let's see. Well, let me put it this way. We had a membership committee, and we had a publicity, public relation committee. We had a program committee. We had a service committee. We had a nominating committee. We had a constitution bylaws committee. We had legislative committee, and we were trying to do all kinds of things. And then I set up some new committees. I added some committees. I had those down. Let me see what I did. I'll go back on. I'll set the camera up so you can see me. Let's see. You know what? Just hold on for a second. Let me go in this file.
Sure.
Oh, I am so sorry that
No, don't worry about it. I mean, I'm just kind of stunned thinking about, our organization actively having to work to increase like the number of female mediators. I mean, you really take a lot of things for granted nowadays.
We couldn't even get in. We couldn't. Let me see. Here we go. Here. Oh, I'm gonna find it in a minute. We made all these new committees. You know what? The report that I made was fairly comprehensive. You know what I'm gonna do?
What?
Okay, I'm gonna read you. This is interesting. This is our newsletter in this is a newsletter. This is January 1974, the newsletter.
Okay.
And this is the newsletter, 1974. The Women Lawyers Association have been contacted by the Detroit Lawyers, a publication printed by the Detroit Bar Association and circulated to their members. The publication wanted to print any news the WLA can provide and is willing to donate a column item. And that was the Women Lawyers Association because of Michigan. We were just the Women Lawyers Association of Michigan. But we call ourselves the WLA at that time. Oh. And I said, and this is January. I said, this is in our newsletter, January 1974. The WLA has received requests from local law schools for names of women lawyers interested in teaching law school classes. Any women attorney desiring such a position should contact Theresa Doss. That was me, and I was working in the Cadillac Square building at the time. The WLA is interested in obtaining the name, address, and phone number of women lawyers who have been in the practice of law for 25 years or older, because we had a dinner for all the women who have been practicing for 25 years.
That's nice.
And that wasn't a whole lot of women at that time. And they were supposed to contact Paulette LeBose. And then the next thing, and all women interested in serving on any WLA committee, subcommittee, was to contact me. And then this is our committees. We had a membership committee. We had a publication, publicity, public relation committee. We had a program called program arrangement. Then we had a service committee, and we had a nominating election committee. We had a constitution bylaw committee. We had a legislative committee. We had a finance committee. And then we added a committee to interview people who want to run for office, whether we were going to nominate them or not. And so they said the Women Lawyers Association attempted to have more women placed on the list of mediators for the both circuit court and the common pleas court. Most urgent need is for women attorneys who have been have some experience in defense work. Currently, the list of mediators for defense attorney is submitted to the Michigan Defense Trial Lawyers Association. The list have been made up primarily of their own trial lawyers members. One of the requirements of the MDTLA is that their members have been in practice for 5 years. As a result, men and women who do extensive defense work but have not practiced for 5 years are excluded from the mediation board. The Michigan WLA has contacted the Michigan Defense Trial Lawyers Association and requested they submit to the court names of women lawyers who may not be members of their association who have been practicing for 5 years. And they said, and this was unusual for them to recommend any women. So we asked them, because women weren't a member of the Defense Association. And we had any women lawyers interested in such a position should contact Paulette LeBose at the time. Okay, and then I was active in the National Women Lawyers Association, and we did a seminar on how to do Title VII cases involving sex discrimination. And so we had a program. I had a little copy of the program. Can't see it, but I found a little copy of the program that we did on that. And then let me go. I was on page 4. Then we had, this is a final list of our meetings for 1974. On January the 30th, we had a women lawyers and women doctors meeting. And that was really interesting. I used to love those meetings because it would be doctors and women lawyers and women doctors. And then February 5th, we just had our business meeting. And then on February 25th, we had the women lawyers student. We had a wine tasting for the women lawyers students. Then in March, we had a business meeting. And in April, we had a meeting with the women lawyers and accountants. Women accountants.
Wow. Okay.
So and then in May we had a women lawyer in the Michigan Trial Lawyers Association a seminar. And then we had a business meeting, and then the next meeting we had the cocktail party, honoring local judges and the new women lawyers, law graduates.
Right.
And then on the 27th we had a business meeting, and then in September we installed our new officer. So we would have a business meeting, and then we'll have a function. We have a business meeting, and we have a function. We also, what we did is we started a brief bank for women.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
And any member with any office space, they could donate space for us, and we would house a brief bank. And they said a law officer in the Detroit area should soon be receiving a questionnaire from the Women Lawyers Association relative to the employment of women attorneys in their offices. And any member have information in any particular office which has in the past or in the present refused to interview or hire women lawyers, they should contact Hilda Gage. I don't know whether you remember Hilda Gage.
Yes.
See, we were on everybody's case at that time. We were calling the law schools, and we were calling lawyers and the association. We were just trying to impact every place we can go. We were just trying, we were just every place. And like I said, we had very good officers. There were Carol Champ and Judy Dorn and Clarice Jobs and Hilda Gage, and I don't know if you remember Elaine Frost, and everybody was active, and they were interested in doing things. And then we even got involved in the United States, in a case that was up before the United States Supreme Court, and we filed an amicus curiae brief. It didn't have specifically to do with women per se, but we were interfering about whether someone had a fair trial.
Oh, wow.
And we filed a brief, and Kathleen Copeland, who's been dead for many years, and Clarice Jones were the co-counsel. So we filed that in the United States Supreme Court, asking a writ of asking to file a amicus curiae brief on that in support of the respondent. So as I said before, we were busy.
Yeah, and, sounds like you were doing a lot.
Yeah, we were. Well, we were busy, and we at that time we didn't have the different regions. We're just one women's association, for the whole state. And we were sending letters to the governor telling him, you need to appoint some women judges. And I think that's how I got appointed, because women lawyers sent my name in, and at that time, quite a few women, were appointed, but we were pushing very, very hard. And as I said before, everything was wide open. See, we had been excluded almost from every place. So back that was really beginning of the women movement. It was going strong in the early 70s. And it's amazing that when I think about it, and I think I made a notation, that I don't remember no one identified as being Hispanic or Asian or maybe I'm using the wrong words. There was a few women of color within the association, but when you look at it, we're just all colors and from all different ethnic backgrounds, everything, and it's just wonderful to see how things have changed so much. Because when I was in law school, I graduated from Ohio State Law School in 1964. And there were 3 women in the class in 1964. And I was the only Black person in the class at Ohio State in 1964. So haven't we come a long ways?
Yes.
And so and when we had our 50th anniversary, all 3 of us were there, and we were sitting back and we were just talking. It says, do you remember this? Do you remember that? And I said, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember this. And we were talking about it, and we said, we were really strong. We were really forceful, dealing with law school is bad anyway, because you had to work so hard, and it's like a new environment, and we had all these there were no Black men, no. And because I was the only Black person in the class at the time. So when I came here, I took the Michigan bar, I became a member of the Michigan bar, and became a member of the Ohio bar in 64 and the Michigan bar in 66. And so when I became president of the Michigan women, of the Women, Lawyer Association of Michigan, when I became president, I was very concerned about, as I said before, a little bit of everything, because we had been excluded in so many areas that women lawyers take for granted now. We like I said, like even when you think about even the big law firms, it was hard for women to get interviewed, ones who were like maybe first or second in class. It was hard for them to be interviewed. And so we were really limited in our exposure. So we tried to impact every segment of the legal profession when we were. And I think the main reason we did so much at the time was because of it was all the women around me. It wasn't me, it was all the people who were within the organization, and they were willing to work very, very hard. We we didn't have the computers or anything like that. We still had the carbon papers when we typed up our minutes. Just a second, I did. I'll call myself going to be so organized when I
No, it's okay. All of this information is so wonderful.
When I was talking to you, I was uh, I had it right here, and I called myself. I'm trying to hold my phone at the same time as I look through these papers.
Well, if you need to set your phone down for a second, that's no problem. Make yourself comfortable.
Okay, then. What I can do is I think our group, that the officers and the people that was working with me, I think that was we were the first set of officers who became very aggressive.
Okay.
And before that, we met and we socialized and whatever, but we weren't as aggressive as we became once I became president. And as I said before, I don't attribute it all to myself, but it was, and then after that, we got going, and after that, we started a new, a committee of,
Well, it sounds like, you know, because of your experience in law school and the attitude in general of the legal community, it sounds like that you were a very strong, independent person, and probably being that type of person as the leader of the organization really encouraged the rest of your team to, you know, do not be as afraid to be as assertive and as active as they were.
Oh, right. As I said before, this is, like I said, I did an annual report, and you know what? And I think that'll take care of all the questions you're going to ask me.
Oh,
we'll take care of everything. And what I'm gonna do, it's like 3 pages. I'm gonna read the report, and I think I cover everything, and so we can cut this short. Okay, this is President's Annual Report, October 21st, 1974. So that's been 47 years ago. Well, 46 years ago, whatever. Yeah. So it was October 21st, 1974. And this is how my report went. Let us pause and once again reflect on our purpose and goals as we make ready to move into a new administration. Hopefully, the momentum that was mounted this year will accelerate in the coming year so that our purpose and goals will be manifested in positive programs. As president of the Women Lawyers Association of Michigan for 1973 and 1974, I became thoroughly convinced that there is a need for our association. However, this need can be only met by our recruiting and maintaining active and resourceful members who have developed sensitivity to problems peculiar to women in the legal profession and a sensitivity to the concern of the total community. The latter statement is not to discount or minimize the hard work and dedication exhibited by those present and past members who have given unselfishly their time and talents to the development of the association. All of our activities last year points to the fact that our association is on the move. Highlighting these activities, we will start with the wine tasting and cheese party sponsored in cooperation with the Wayne State University Law School Women Liberation Congress. At this affair, about 90 people participated, and of this number, there were approximately 75 women law students. For some of this was indeed a, quote, happening, unquote, since we attended law school in the area of 2 or 3 female in each class. To ensure continual contact with students, the the Constitution was amended to provide for student membership in the association. That was because they weren't members, so we provided for them to become a fellowship member. Unfortunately, the annual law school graduation reception with the judges did not stimulate the same response. This affair was poorly attended by the women lawyers and graduate, and that is a serious question as to the feasibility of continuing this event. We used to have event, students in the lawyers, so it wasn't really that year. On the other hand, our recognition dinner for those women lawyers who had been admitted to the bar for 25 years or more was an overwhelming success, and it exemplified our desire to promote fraternal spirit among women lawyers of all ages and spheres of interest. Also, at the fair, we were pleased to have some women accountants in attendance. The joint seminar with the Michigan Trial Lawyers Association on Women and the Law was very impressive and encouraging, since hundreds of people attended, a number far beyond any of our expectation. For many of us, this seminar was a revelation as to the extent and the scope of the whole women movement. Last year, we were contacted by official, and we contacted official regarding appointments of women as commissioners, judges, hearing referees, mediators, law professors, or instructors. Our ad hoc public advisory committee interviewed and endorsed judicial candidates to the metropolitan area, focused on the candidate attitude toward women's rights. It is noteworthy that many of the judicial candidates actually sought our endorsement. In 1973, dues were raised, but we believe the initial negative feeling toward this act should have been dispelled by the informative and much needed newsletter that was circulated to the general membership. Of course, we all know that the cost of mail and this newsletter took a big bit of our budget. And I think, it was a very nominal amount the dues were. With the rapport we developed with the Detroit Bar Association, we're now able to use its address as our official address, and the executive director of the Detroit Bar Association has solicited article from us to publish in the Detroit Lawyer. As usual, the joint meeting with the women doctor was well attended. We will encourage the continuation of this event and urge that joint meeting be held with women dentists, accountants, and other professional women groups. As concerned members of the bar, we filed a motion in the United States Supreme Court requesting the permission to file an amicus curiae brief in the case of the state of Michigan versus Thomas W. Tucker. Our motion was denied, but we did it anyway.
Right.
At the annual breakfast meeting during the state bar annual meeting, there was 29 members, the number of which was somewhat disappointing, but this disappointment was overshadowed by the dynamic speaker, a first in recent history at a breakfast. Many, many wonderful, encouraging things happened in 1973, 1974. But as we look forward to a new year, hopefully the following recommendation will be considered. Amend the Constitution, include a board of director with regional director in order that association will be more representative of the whole state. So under my administration, we first decided that we'll reach out because some of the people out of state, they didn't come to the meeting because everything was in the Detroit area. 2, amend the Constitution that membership meeting will be held quarterly on a date certain. Amend the Constitution, set a standing committee called for the Public Advisory Committee. That wasn't a standing committee at the time I became president, so that was important to advise regarding judicial candidates.
Right.
Study the possibility of setting up an emergency fund to aid law students. So of course we got a foundation and for scholarship. And 5, change the stationery so that officers and the address are contained on the same page. Whatever. very, very mundane things, but
so it's important
at the time. Yeah. Although many were responsible for the successes we experienced in the last year, we would like to recognize a few of this time. We are told name calling name calls a very unwise decision. However, we would have a chance that no one will be offended, but all will join in thanking Paulette LeBeau, co-chairman of the program committee and editor of our newsletter, Quinta B. Story, co-chairperson of the program committee, Barbara Robb, chairman of our joint project with the Michigan Trial Lawyer Association, and Elaine Frost, chairperson of our public advisory committee, for the distinguished service for the 1973-1974 year. At this time, we want to also thank all of the officers and members who worked faithfully with us last year, and we sincerely hope you will cooperate and work faithfully with Clarice Jones, our president for 1974-1975. Respectfully submitted, Theresa Doss, president, 1973-1974. Okay?
You basically got in like 10 years worth of work in 1 year.
Well, as I said before, we were busy. And we made a lot of contact. And I think we started to push to be more than just a social club where women lawyers get together and talk about just women affairs. We were concerned with everything. Right. We were concerned with the total community. And we had the women, we were it was at the time that the women movement all over the country. Mm-hmm. This is people look back, they remember back in the 1960s and the 70s, women weren't when you went to court, they thought you were the secretary and called you by your first name and all that kind of stuff. But we were out there pushing, and we said we wanted to be accepted at every level of the legal profession. And so we were so excited when Carol Champ became president of the Detroit Bar Association. Yeah, I think it was Carol Champ became president of the Detroit Bar Association. That was much later. But, we were just there out there pushing for not just women's rights, but our pushing was going to help the total community. Men, women, children, right, immigrants, people who were challenged, by health issues or whatever. We were out there. And so I'm very proud of what we did and how we saw ourselves. We were really like on the front line. Yeah, we were like little soldiers, We didn't feel intimidated when we walked in a room of all men.
Nice, good.
And we said, "Move over, here we come."
Well, and we're so grateful that you did.
Right, and now when I see just women lawyers just all over the place, everybody got law degrees and they're doing so well and they're heading all these companies and they're doing, and I just get so excited. I really get excited, when I see it. And so many, like Black women, too, that in itself is another level. You have, mm-hmm. People, they talk to you, you're a woman, but you're also Black, and that creates another dynamic. Right. That you have to deal with, but it's wonderful to see you all out there and being strong. And see, I think that sometimes you have to go back in history because I don't think a lot of young women lawyers realize how hard it was for us, and even getting a position and just getting a seat at the table. You're just sitting at the table. You may not be at the head of the table, just being there to see what's going on and getting, and getting cases. When you're practicing law, it's hard to get cases. You're trying to, get into a position that you can get cases where people have money. Because
that always helps.
That lot of times we get a lot of cases, but our clients don't have any money to pay us. So you have to be in position, because I know when I first became a member of the Detroit Economic Club, that was something. Just be a member of that. I joined, but I was in business or anything like that. So, I soon got out, but just getting our name on the roll for a while, going to the meetings and being there. So when I became a judge, I didn't, I was in business, so it wasn't interesting to me more. And I was active in the Women Lawyer Association right up to the time that I really retired. And I've been retired, oh goodness, it'll be 18 years this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I got on the bench in 1976. See, that's a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Right, it's a long time, and I keep saying, "Oh, I'm 81. Oh, am I 81? I thought I was just 80. Oh, the year is gone already." The year.
You look good. I wouldn't have guessed.
Oh yeah. I'm 81. Well, I told you I graduated law school in 1964.
True, but I'm not as good at math as you are.
But as I said, I'm happy that you're all doing well, and I'm happy that we end up getting the regional, so everybody could be active more so than just the people down here. And as I said before, I was proud of the people who were around me. I didn't do it myself. It was the people around me who were very good, and most of them were very did well in their careers. They did very well. So some of the names you may remember, like Hilda Gage. You should remember her.
Yes.
She was actor. Barbara Robb. She had been around for a while. Clarice Joe, but I think Carol Champ still maybe active. She was doing divorce work and things like that.
Okay.
Well, some of the people who will see this video probably remember some of the people who were very, very active and had a lot on the ball. I just can't praise them enough.
Well, let me just ask you a couple of questions. So what brought you to Michigan? Because it sounds like you were established in Ohio.
Yes, right. What brought me to Michigan? When you take the bar exam, you think you're going to fail it, don't you?
Yes.
So when I was in Ohio, I didn't have a job. Nobody interviewed me. I wasn't first. One of the girls was third in the class, I think, third or fourth in class, but I wasn't there. I was in the class. I'll put it that way. I was in the class. So I studied so hard for the Ohio Bar Association, meeting, and I said, and I worked in a law library in Ohio State. I worked in a law library. And so the law library, and she said, they have a job up at the Capitol in the library. They wanted like a research person. It's about to work in the law library that was in the Capitol at the time. And she said, you worked, in the library here and you're real good. I'll give you a good reference. She said, you don't have to be a member of the bar. And it was a job. And I hadn't got my results back. So I just knew I had failed the bar. So I said, well, okay. So I accepted the job in as a law librarian in Lansing. And 2 days later, no, maybe 2 weeks later, I got the results back. I had passed.
Okay.
I have a job. I have accepted a job. So I got on the bus. And I didn't know not one soul in Lansing. I had never been to Lansing. And I found out that the Greyhound bus didn't go to Lansing. I think it was a trail. No, it was a Blue Trail. I mean, it was another bus. It went through Toledo and went up Lansing. And I got the YWCA was right across from the Capitol. And I got a room in the Capitol. And I told my mother, I said, when I get established, you could send my trunk. Back then we had trunks, but I just had the suitcase, and I went up there and started working in the library. And I was member bar, and the guy he was head of Catholic Charities, Michigan Catholic Charity. He would come in there all the time. He said, "Aren't you bored in this library?" I said, "Yeah, I'm kind of bored in here." And so he said, "Well, the Archdiocese of Detroit have a job where they were getting involved in the poverty program back there in the late 60s, you know, and there was a, you know, a little, you know, there was going to be some legal work about them accepting stuff being a, you know, a religious organization stuff.
Okay.
So he said, well, I can give you a job there. And he said, and I'll pay you a couple $1,000s more than here. So I said, okay, good. And so I said, well, in order to take the bar in 1965, all the courses was down here in the Detroit area. And I had an aunt that lived in Ecorse, Michigan.
Okay.
So I took the job and I stayed up there about 6 or 7 months, and I came down to Ecorse and stayed with my aunt for a few weeks. And I said, if I flunk this bar in Michigan, I'm going back to Ohio, because Ohio bar. And so it was so funny. And I like to tell this story. My son said, stop telling that story. I said, I'm going to tell this story because I had a new job. And so I couldn't study constantly, you know, for the bar.
Oh, yeah.
So, and at that time it was all written. You had to go to Ann Arbor, and it was like 3 or 4 days. I can't remember how many days. So it told you what the you know, the subject matter. And I said, real property. I said, I never learned the rule against perpetuity. I didn't learn it in law school. I'm not going to learn it in the next 2 weeks or whatever. So I'm going to take my chances when I take this bar. I'm not going to study any real property. There are two questions on real property. So I'll get a 0 on those because I'm not going to study it all. And the rest of the stuff, I said, in absence of law, I think this is what it is, you know, because I know Michigan law. So I said, I'm going to take my chance. I went up there in Ann Arbor, and then I didn't have any classmates, you know, I didn't have any to study with.
Right.
So I was studying hard, you know, by myself, and anybody to study with. I go up there and I stayed by myself. So, and at that time, you would send you had them send you a telegram whether you passed or not.
Oh.
And they would put names in the paper. And so when the name was published in the paper, my name was published. I had passed. But I didn't get a telegram. I said, they must have made a mistake because I didn't get a telegram.
Oh.
Wrong address on it. But to make the story short, the score, high score was 40. You got 1.40. It was 40 questions. And I got 37 and a half. I missed 2 of the real property questions and a half a question in other subjects. And so I keep my little thing showing that I had 37 and a half.
Wow, that's great.
But I had studied so hard for the Ohio bar. I had studied day and night for the Ohio bar. I was studying like 12, 13 hours a day, you know, like for like 6 weeks, you know, night and day I was studying for the Ohio bar. And so, you know, so of course that, and for the Michigan bar, I think I took off like 4 days to study for the Michigan bar. But like I said, the year before I had studied so hard.
Right.
So that's how so you got the whole story.
Okay, and that was a good story. A good story. And then before you became a judge, what was your practice like? Did you have your own firm or?
No, I was assistant attorney general. So I was working.
Okay.
So when I was working for the Archdiocese down in Detroit, but I came down here in June of 1965. So when I passed the bar, we didn't get the results until 1966 in January. It came out in December, but we were sworn in 66. So I, you know, I didn't need a bar degree to do what I was doing with them. You know, it was like advice, you know, and whatever. And I was working for Bishop Gumbleton at the time. He's still a bishop, I think, Bishop Gumbleton. So then, and after I worked for a while, I decided that I want to do something legal. And I applied for assistant attorney general for the state of Michigan. And I got hired by Frank J. Kelly. He was a wonderful person to work with. He just died a few days ago.
Right.
So started working for the Attorney General office in 1966 in June, and then I appointed to the bench in 76.
Okay.
All my actual practice was with the Attorney General's office. So
Okay.
I was Assistant Attorney General for about 9.5 years.
Wow. All right. And then I guess final question, is there any advice that you have for future WLAM leaders?
Well, I think you have to utilize the people that are around you. You know, you may be in charge, but look around you and utilize the talent that's around you. And you'd be surprised what people have within them and how it can help you and give them an opportunity to express themselves and to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the best thing for a leader is that just look around you and see what other people want, how they can express themselves and whatever. Because if they're around you and they're good, then you look good. So that's the best thing I would tell any leader is just use the people around you and give them the opportunity to participate. Don't be a society of one person and try to do everything yourself. Don't try to do everything yourself. And I think that goes for anything that you, any kind of situation you're in, you know, even if it's a social setting or PTA, well, they don't have PTA now. Well, the parent group or whatever you participate in, don't be afraid to use people around you. Don't be afraid that someone's going to show you up or whatever. In the long run, you benefit by using other people who have talents that you may not have. And, and you'll be surprised.
Well, that's great advice. I really appreciate all of your wisdom and your stories. Is there anything else that you want to mention?
No, it's no, I just think that I covered most of the things, and as I said, I call myself gonna be alright. I went up there, I got a whole lot of stuff. I gotta find out where to put some of this stuff in.
Well, hopefully once COVID's over, we can come over and like take a look at your stuff and get some scans.
Well, I took some back in 2018. I had a couple of stuff that she scanned. You know, she did scan a couple of things that I had. Not a couple. I took a few things. I don't remember exactly what I took or whatever. But I would just say that encourage people, and you got to go back to your history because people get so they think, oh, this is good. I don't have to do anything. They're talking about old stuff. But old stuff helps you to go forward because maybe it won't be the same problems that we have, but look out, there's new problems.
Right.
So you got to make sure that you learn from, you don't look back and stay in back or stay with history and whatever. You don't stay with it, but you use it to help you go forward.
Right.
Because you think all your problems are, oh no, there's some other stuff coming, and as women, we think that we don't conquer the world. Oh no, there's some other stuff is coming, so you got to be prepared to look and see what's coming down and see how we reacted and what we did and how we did it. You can't do the stuff the same way anymore, like
Right.
everybody got a computer and here we are on Zoom and whatever. And back then we were typing with carbon papers and couldn't make a
Right.
mistake. And using a zero, using not a zero. We had those machine we
Was it a
type.
mimeograph?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. That kind of stuff. So no one's doing
Right.
that anymore. So what kind of work do you do now? We don't talk enough about it.
Well, I work for the state of Michigan for the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission, which is a new agency that works with courts and local governments to make sure that defendants have good attorneys to help them with their criminal cases.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah, it's been a really great job.
Okay, so you work out of Detroit area or Lansing area?
Our office is located in Lansing, but we're stationed all over the state, and my territory is Oakland, Macomb, Lapeer, and St. Clair County.
Oh, okay. That sounds really, really nice. That sounds exciting.
Yeah,
So,
it can be exciting, and it can be rewarding. And I like being able to contribute to the positive changes in our state.
but are you where did you go to law school, and
Wayne
how
State.
are you?
How what?
How old are you?
Oh, how old am I? I'm 47. So
What?
when I was born, you were out there doing this stuff, making a great way for me.
You're 47?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you look so much younger than that.
Well,
Oh,
that's
you
what I thought about you too. So maybe it's just Zoom.
you're just beautiful. You're a
Oh,
beautiful
well,
40.
thank you.
Well, it was nice talking to you. And as I said before, I do pay my dues and I give something to the
Well,
foundation.
I appreciate that.
I pay my dues. I give something to the foundation every day. But so I've been retired now, going on 18 years. So I'm kind of away from the practice. And I did do some visiting work, but I do just a little bit, you know. And well, one thing I just say that I am happy for my age. My mind is good. I remember stuff, and so I can't complain about anything. Life has been good,
Well,
and
that's great.
I made very good choices when I decided to go to law school back in 1961.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a good choice. You had a great career.
I did, and I met a lot of people, and I enjoyed doing what I did. So hey, I have no complaints.
Well, I guess I should ask one question. What made you decide in 1961 that law school was what you wanted to do?
Oh, now that's another story. First thing,
Last story.
I would see you should never ask a politician to talk because they could talk forever. First thing was I was down at Ohio U. I was in the lab, and everybody was going to football game, and I had to do this. I think I was taking quality analysis, some kind of chemistry. I don't know what it was. I was going to be a pharmacist,
Oh,
so I had my evaporating dish or whatever. So I had to go through a whole series of try to determine what ions was in the solution or whatever. I said, I don't like this anymore. And then the next year I had to take physics, and I like physics. I said, oh, I got to do something else. So I says, I said, I think I'll be a lawyer. Listen to me.
oh,
Wait a minute. Listen to this. Didn't know a lawyer. Never been introduced. I knew about a man being a lawyer, but never met a woman lawyer in my life.
right.
There were no lawyers in Lorain, Ohio. There were no Black lawyers there. And my family wasn't around any lawyers or whatever. In our house, everybody was a nurse, teacher, social worker. So, being a lawyer, I'm going to be a lawyer. So, okay. But of course, didn't have any money.
Mm.
So I graduated in 3.5 years from undergraduate school. So I was smart enough to get a teaching certificate. So I started teaching in Cleveland. I graduated on Saturday, and then that Monday I had a job teaching in Cleveland.
Oh,
At
wow.
that time they had 2 semesters already. So I get into Cleveland, and when I student taught, in Athens. So all the kids they were college professor kids, people who worked at the university. So they were geared to go to school.
Right.
And so I go to Cleveland, not from a little small town. Lorain is a small town. So I get a job in Cleveland, and I get in Cleveland, and I'm new, so I got worst classes in the world.
Ah.
And applied for law school, had been accepted in Ohio State. So I'm up there teaching, and the kids I was 21. I was 21 in October. So some of the kids in junior high were as big as I was.
Oh, no.
And they were, so, I couldn't control the class real well, they were, because I was new, so I had to go from class to class. So I didn't really have a homeroom. So the room where I was going to teach a class, they were there before I was. So they were coming in, it would take me 5 minutes to set them down or whatever. And I was sitting there and I was working hard, working after school and whatever. And then I think it was really changing. One of the kid told me, he says, Miss Doss, I'm not going to learn anything about social studies. He says, I'm old enough that I'm going to be promoted and I'm going to high school. So you forget it. I'm not learning anything. So you can do what you want to. So he wouldn't do any of his homework. He wouldn't do anything. And she did, he got social promoted. So I said, oh, I got to do something else. I can't teach school. These kids. And then my supervisor, I think she liked all the young male teachers. She didn't like female teachers. And she was giving me a hard time. And so I told my uncle, I was staying with my uncle in Cleveland. And I said, I'm going to apply for a leave of absence. He says, a leave of absence? You just got there. Don't you know how hard, back then, Black people had a hard time getting contracts. And people from the South had degrees and stuff that couldn't get contracts. He said, you had a contract before you finished college. You can't be giving up. I said, listen, all they could say is yes or no. I'm asking for a leave of absence. He said, you'd have been teaching 3 months. And guess what I did? I wrote down to the headquarters and asked for a leave of absence. They gave it to me. So I started law school, and when I graduated from law school and passed the bar, I resigned from the Cleveland schools.
Well, good for you. It sounds like that was a miserable job.
Well, you know what? I was young and I wasn't prepared for the environment. And my supervisor didn't help. Right. And I think it would have been all right if it wasn't the right situation for me, probably as a year when I learned the ropes and everything like that, because I came from a school where we lived along the lake and stuff, and the kids, everybody was geared to go to school. And I wasn't used to a class where kids, they weren't programmed for school and college and beyond. So it makes a difference, but not that the kids weren't smart. Some of them were very smart, whatever. But it was my problem. I had to learn how to control a class. It takes a lot of technique to control a class.
Right.
And I had just graduated from college and whatever, and my experience as a student teacher was not a good paradigm for where I was assigned. No, the kids. Not that the kids were bad or anything. I didn't think I was gonna get hurt or anything like that.
Right.
It was just they did a lot of talk.
Kids.
Yeah, they were kids, and they were junior high kids.
And you were young.
And everybody at junior high kids are the worst one to try to teach. When they were about 13, 14, they're not seniors. They're not elementary kids. And not old, older like high school kids. They're just right there in the middle. So that's how I went to law school.
Okay, well, that is a great story.
Now, how did you go to law school?
I always, pretty much since elementary school, I knew that I wanted to be a lawyer. So, yeah, I don't have as exciting of a tale. It was just go to college, go to law school.
Okay. Well, it was nice talking to you, and you made my day.
Thank you so much.
I don't see young lawyers anymore, so I'm happy that everything, the law profession, is in good hands with you all.
Thank you very much. And it's been a delight to talk to you, and I hope that soon we can see each other in person.
Okay. Well,
because I want to get over there and see your materials and all your archives.
Okay, well, you take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.